Hello everyone, my name is Natasha Tripp, and my topic was about poverty and housing in rural communities. So I'm gonna just take you through my PowerPoint and just explain to you what I discussed in my PowerPoint. I hope you enjoy. So, poverty in a rural community is defined as basically low income, small. Um, it has a rural society, rural um, economy. The politics systems give rise to the poverty in rural communities. So it's just different factors that could find a poverty in a rural community. Here's just a picture of a guy, and I put it in Google, a picture of housing in rural communities, and it's one of the pictures that came up. You see, they don't have much grass. The house is a slight junky, and they look like it's more condensed in the area. Factors that cause poverty in rural communities. I listed a lot, but I just listed a few, which is like poor education, lack of housing, lack of resources, limited capacity of the government, little or no access to jobs, inadequate access to clean water and food, and that shows you the picture. They probably have limited resources, limited access to different things to have a better yard, a cleaner house, a nicer community. Housing and poverty. Housing is one of the big impacts on poverty. Housing is so expensive in rural communities. In the last 5 years, the cost of housing, both to buy and rent, has increased rapidly, increasing the risk of people falling into poverty. People is trying to maintain first keeping a house over their income. Paying a house is like take more income in the house, so trying to pay rent is causing way more than anything in the home. Who are most affected by poverty? Being a woman, especially a single woman, single parents are affected by poverty the most. Black, Hispanics, a child, because children are limited to a lot of things. Disabled person, families with children, people with disabilities, people with no jobs. And does poverty play a role in housing? I just talked about that. How poverty is an underlying cause of homelessness. The circumstances of poverty that can lead a person to becoming homeless include having a little of no money, debt, a lack of education, poor and mental and physical health, disability, reliance on public housing, living in a substandard accommodation, and social exclusion. Here is just a graph, and this graph is named residents of rural areas and tribal lands are especially likely to live in poverty and have substandard housing. So, it is measuring population in poverty, units lacking complete plumbing, units lacking complete kitchens, and then one is the blue is the tribal lands, the purple is the royal areas, and then the yellow is them combined. So you see, tribal has more um, population and poverty than rural areas, and then the units lacking complete plumbing. You see, tribal have that also, and then units lacking complete kitchens. It has more also. So this is just basically a graph to share the population of the housing units in percentage. And then this just talk about the incomes amongst families with children. Because I know I talked about families that that's in poverty and they're more likely to be affected by poverty is families with children and they have little to no resources. Here, and the blue line has the highest income of 20%. Then you have the purple income is the fourth, and then the fourth to the highest. Then the third, the second, and then you have the lowest income, which is the green. And this is all in the U.S. So this is the family income in 2014. So the highest family income from 1960. You can see start from 1960, go all the way to it measures to 2010. So the income rises, but these are families that's still in poverty. So even though their income is increasing, like it'll increase within 10 years, but then it would decrease 10 years later, and then it'll shoot back to the top over the next 10 years. And then these people are still living in poverty, even though they have the income, but the cost of living is so high, especially with kids, it still will cost them to be in poverty. And then does poverty in housing affect the upcoming kids and teenagers? Yes, because some teens grow up in difficult homes, poor neighborhoods, lack of school systems, poor school systems, and then they face like discrimination, limited work or advancement opportunities, and the effects of generational poverty, all which make it more likely they will live in poverty. And then also, this can be a cause of juvenile delinquents while they're on the rise. When youth become homeless, they are forced to learn how to support themselves before they have the skills, knowledge, or available resources to do so. These youth are attempting to figure out how to be independent and successful without a stable base to work from. So basically, when a child is homeless, they're forced to be adults. When living in poverty, you're forced to live as an adult. As me, I grew up in low income housing, so I had a mom that was always trying to work to keep a roof over our head so that we won't be homeless. So she was unable to cook and clean, so that was left to me because I was the oldest. I had to learn how to cook and clean to be able to make sure that my sisters and brothers still ate so that we can keep that roof over our head. So living in low income, you're working so hard to keep a roof over your kids' head to sometimes you may lack certain parent skills. And then this is a graph from 1959 to 2017. It measures the percentage of children living below selected poverty thresholds. So you see in 1958, we had under 100% of poverty. And then go this way as it decreases through the years. Then there go my reference page. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoy. Hope you learn things.